Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Is this thing on? Testing. Testing. Good morning.
It absolutely is.
morning.
Good morning, mate.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Even I'm not even sure where everybody's at. You know, we've got folks from all over the globe. I want to say welcome back to day 2 of the Traders Summit event. I'm glad you all were able to make it here today. We're going to have a really big event. I was actually just looking at our lineup and just realizing what a stacked lineup we have today. But real quick before we get into as we give everybody an opportunity to get here and to get settled in, let me ask you guys this: what was the best part of yesterday's event for you? Maybe some of your highlights. And
I must say, yeah.
By the way, and I want to say, feel free to chime in into the comment section. So go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, I must say I was always expecting people like Jim Rickards to be incredible. I watch his videos on YouTube, and it's I'm a huge fan. But I was really amazed by Crudelli. The way I said this yesterday, the way he was so straightforward, and the way he expressed himself. I really like how simple he made things at some point. And simplicity is difficult in this market, in this business, right? Simple is good usually, and I really liked his manner. I liked him a lot. I liked every single one, but I think Crudelli just for some reason hit me really nice, really well.
How about you, Steve?
Yeah.
Plenty of highlights. I'm not sure I can share the best one. Yeah, I really enjoyed Jim Rickards. He's a very diverse guy, very knowledgeable. I enjoyed David Hunter's interview as well. I liked Anthony Crudelli very much. I don't want to go over everything because I think that every one of the interviews we had was worth watching.
Yeah, for sure. Shaw asked or said that Katie Stockton's was really good with their methodology. I really enjoy my time when I get to meet with Katie more on a normal basis, but it's usually a lot short term. It's more short. It's just a shorter period of time. But she is very matter of fact, and I think about her running an ETF, and one of the things I didn't get to ask her was how much bias is it all, is her methodology completely technical, or is there some sort of bias that seeps in? And it's one of those things that I wonder how much bias does she put into her ETF methodology, and she seems like such a matter of fact person that I don't think there's any bias there, really. Yep. When you listen to her, you're like, yeah, I don't even think she interjects like her feelings or bias at all. It's just, this is what the technical indicators say. This is what, is going to happen. So
and this is how it should be done, right?
You would think. I mean, you would think. And this is, we go into today and we start talking to people like, later on in the session, I'll be talking to Mark Minervini, and that's going to be the reason why I think that's going to be such a good interview, from a trader's perspective, is that there is a lot of bias. System trading. I've been always apprehensive to incorporate system trading into my trading. I've always been good at what I do on my own. Could I simplify my life a little bit by introducing some automated systematic type of trading? I've always, thought about it, but I've never really done it because, it's like, at what point do I end up overriding that? But it's going to be interesting to hear from somebody like, Mark Minervini, which I'm assuming he is completely manual as well, so, that's it. And then you take people like Gareth Soloway, which I'll be talking with in just a little bit less than an hour. He's I don't think he does any, automated type of trading either. So anyway, but it's gonna be interesting to find out, and talk to them about those topics. So
Yeah. Well, one other thing I wanted to say about Crudelli, he mentioned he's a heart attack survivor. Kind of resonated with me because when I used to go on the trading floor 10 years, every day you go past the defibrillators on the sides of the room, and you look at them and you think, why are they here? Well, at some point when I was at Merrill, one guy like 4 or 5 rows away from me just collapsed, and thank God he made it. But it was it's a shocking thing to see happen right almost next to you, right? So it's when he talked about that, I was like, yeah, I remember that feeling. Obviously, touch wood, that hasn't happened to me, but it's a very stressful environment.
Can we, let's take a moment and let's talk about this, because this is actually a very touchy subject for me. For those of you that don't know, I'm turning 50 this year, and I have been trading since my mid 20s. I started when I was 24 years old when I started trading, and obviously it's kind of funny that I'm mentioning this. I was just, as I was getting ready this morning, I was looking at myself going, boy, you are not as young as you once were. As I was getting ready, when that says some of those times you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh gosh, wow. Anyway, but the funny thing is I know my body is not the same body that I was dealing with 25 years ago. And if for those of you that don't know this, I did prop trading, and that it's going to parlay into the trader funding program here in just a second. But I did proprietary trading on a much bigger level than what we are offering with the trader funding program. I did that for basically 5 years, up until a year ago, about right at this time, I stopped. And it really took a toll on my body, physically, and to a point where my wife was really quite worried about me, sleeping, very short, periods, and not sleeping at all some nights, and being in front of my computer 15-16 hours a day. But I was managing an amount of money or trading size that was really past the point of comfort for me, right? And there are people that can handle it, and this is one of those things that I actually want to talk. I'm going to talk to Mark Minervini about a little bit later. Is that, is there a point where you're like, okay, that's big enough, that those are sizes that are too big for me and for my person to deal with. And so when you mention that about like defibrillators on the trading floor, I can actually see that, and that's why I just want to take this back over to we have the trader funding program, which is awesome because it actually gives traders a lot of flexibility in what level is comfortable for them. Because for me, let's talk a little bit about this really quick. For me, there is a breaking point. Like for me, I know specifically at right now what levels that I can trade and comfortably sleep, not physically be stressed out. I can actually, I know where my open positions can be, where I can say, you know what, I'm going to go take an hour and I'm going to go to the gym and I'm not going to freak out. And I remember just, over the last 6 years, up until about a year ago. So, trading these big sizes, and it's like, literally I was glued to, whether it was my phone, just at quotes, or my computer, and it's unhealthy. It is. So having the flexibility, like the trader funding program, having the flexibility of saying, you know what, I can trade a, $25,000 account. That's very easy for me to do. And it's not going to be super stressful. Or, you're like, hey, I want to trade, $500,000. And I want to take on that. I want to take on that challenge for myself, because I think I can do it. Giving traders that flexibility is so huge. So going back to the original, topic, which I think is really important, is there has to be levels that really weigh on you physically. I mean, Stelios, going back to what you were saying on the trading floor, I mean, you're dealing with billions of dollars, and your P&L is moving millions of dollars every single day. How do you deal with that?
Well, that's the thing. I remember I've had days when I was trading for the bank, obviously not for myself, $1 million up or down days. I tell you what, I really remember my first down $1 million plus day. And that was a day when I actually changed. I realized that it kind of hurt me. So I changed a little bit the way I traded. I decreased my positions just a little bit. But on the other hand, I still remember being really long rates, short rates, so long bonds basically, into an FOMC meeting in 2008 when they cut, I think, 75 instead of 25 expected. And as soon as I saw that, I knew next day I was going to go into the office and the P&L was going to be something pretty massive. But as I said before, the down days were the ones that really kind of make you think, right? And as I said, I remember my first 7-figure down day. I said, okay, this is not something that I'm comfortable with. So I changed a little bit the way I traded. I toned it down, and just kept grinding after that. But yeah, by the way, before we continue, I just want to answer a question that at least 5 or 6 people have asked. The videos from yesterday, today, and tomorrow are all going to be released and uploaded, I think Tuesday or Wednesday next week. It takes some time to process them, to edit them. You can understand. So for people who want to see the recordings, you have to wait a few days. Early next week, you're going to have them.
Yes, because they need to be edited, right? Dressed up, and then we're going to upload them, and we're going to send you an email with telling you how you can gain access to them, those of you that have registered, and afterwards they're going to be uploaded on YouTube for everybody to watch, right?
We have to edit them. We have to remove Blake's gray hairs and all that, right? So,
and a couple things that you guys just here. Let me take the screen as we're chatting here, because we're gonna move into a couple other topics. But I want to stay on this topic because it's so important. And Nikita, I actually really want to answer your question, but I want to show you guys really fast. If you go to tradersummit.net. So this is the website that is out. This is our daily website, right? This is the one where you can get all the videos, all the analysis that's updated, every day from different contributors. We have so many contributors that constantly upload this information. But if you're looking at Trader Summit, the event schedule, and by the way, you can get to the event from here. So where it says events, right here on tradersummit.net, if you want to know for yourself. But I'm just going to show you today's schedule. Okay. And if you scroll down, Saturday, the 9th of April, right? You have all this, this is the entire schedule for today. I had a question about, or we had a question about Peter Schiff. He's going to be tomorrow. And also Mark Faber is going to be tomorrow as well. So that was a question from somebody else, but we're on obviously Saturday. And by the way, today's interview, I'm going to be sitting here in this seat for the next few hours. Gareth Soloway is great. Soloway, he talks a lot of cryptos nowadays, but he trades everything. He's kind of the jack of all trades, and he's really a trader, which is really, he's an equity market trader, but he does shift gears quite a bit. Him and I have a very similar style as far as, looking at analysis and analyzing intermarket relationships. So I really enjoy my time when I talk with him. Danielle DiMartino Booth, remember, she did work at the Federal Reserve with Jerome Powell. She's on CNBC and Bloomberg and Fox Business and, all over the place. With Quill Intelligence, and she's probably one of the sharpest Fed analysts out there. And it's going to be really interesting to talk with her. Peter Bookvar, I know, Steve, you're going to be meeting with Peter a little bit later today. He also very, very sensitive to the economy and what's happening right now and what's happening with gold and silver and and just basically the economy in general at large. He's been on CNBC for probably the last 2 decades. Michael Gayad, Jack Schwager, Daniel Sinig, and Mark Minervini at the very end of the day. So really great lineup today, just to let you all know. Now I'm going to go back to this, our previous comment really quick, and let's talk about it for a second, guys, because let me find that question that came in. Give me 1 second. Nikita asks, did you change your trading style, Blake, to more of day trades so you don't keep trades overnight? And the answer to that question, and we're going back to the conversation about switching gears, when I was proprietary trading for the 5 years prior, I was trading at such big size that I couldn't swing comfortably those positions. So it was interesting because if you go into the Forex Analytix chat room, which is right here, okay, and you can see that this is like our chat room. We've had this, forever, and you can see we have trades room and Flownomics, but this is all, just kind of our Forex Analytix chat room itself. Traders really knew that I had shifted gears quite a bit. It was like going from retail to institutional for those 5 years for me. And I had to trade much bigger size, more than I was comfortable with, especially holding, because I could sit in a position prior to that, and kind of the way that I'm trading now, I can sit in a position and deal with volatility and let it swing a little bit and know that I have multiple entry point levels that I'm looking for. But for those 5 years or so, it was really a very big shift in the way I approached the market, and not a bad shift either. It was just a different shift, and so and a lot of people ask, like, why did I not continue to proprietary trade and trading much larger amounts? Because like I said, I did it for about 5 years, and being with a group like that, you have to perform. It's performance based, right? But at the end of the day, I was almost 50 years old, and my wife is like, was worried more about my health. And I'm like, I couldn't continue to be in front of the computer 15 hours a day, sleeping 2-3 hours a night during the week. It really weighed on me. And so, now I'm back to trading way more comfortably, and it's trading my own money. And that has allowed me to have the flexibility of, being in position sizes that I'm comfortable with, that I can swing for a while. That's not, that I can, let the markets move a little bit. And that has been a huge shift. And that's why for me, and a much healthier one too. And that's why for me, like I said earlier, but when you go to a, proprietary trading, and you go like the trader funding program, you're just, you choose what size that you're comfortable with, not one that's, kind of forced upon you, if you will. So anyway, that was a great question, and I did want to address it. So I think what we should do, guys, because we have this time, I'd love to talk about Forex Analytix, the face webinars, what we do during the course of the every trading session, and the importance of what we do, because I think a lot of people have this idea of Forex Analytix being some sort of technology platform, and that's all it is. But Steve, in your words, what do you think? How would you describe Forex Analytix in your words?
It is
I would say it's a community.
It is a complex, all-in-one place for a trader to be, that provides you with analysis, tools, and most importantly, a community to trade with. That's what I would say it is.
And how about you, Stelios? How would you describe the Forex Analytix?
I was about to say before, it's a community. I mean, that's for me the number one thing. Yes, we offer analysis. We offer this really nice platform where you can see things on your mobile and everything. But really, it's all about being able to communicate with other people, with us, with other community members, and discuss, and talk about markets, talk about trades. That's the beauty of it, I think.
It is, and I want people to understand that's what really Forex Analytix is. I mean, you look at it and you look at our website and you're like, oh, look, it's some sort of platform that you get, some analysis on or whatever. But it's really not that. It's really, I know it's when you at first glance that's what you think, but it's really not that. What it is like Stelios and Steve both have talked about. It's really about a community. And that's what the face webinar is every day. So if you guys are not listening in to what we do on a daily basis, first of all, I know it, and I know the time's not going to work for everybody. I totally get that. I mean, I have people, writing to us this morning that they're in India. Well, the time zone that you live in is going to be different from, where I'm in on the West Coast of the United States, and these guys are in Athens, Greece. So I understand that timing is not going to work for everybody, but that doesn't mean that you can't listen in, because it's free, every day, and it's not just myself; it's the rest of the team. We're talking about the markets. We're talking about what's happening, what's moving the markets at that time, and then what the key components of or the pieces of the puzzle, if you will, that we're really focused on that day for the market. So you can just go to the free face webinar, and every day, we have that face webinar, and you have traders that are interviewed by Dale Pinkert, our host for the face webinar. It got myself, Stelios, Steve. We have Ryan and K-Man from the UK that come in. And they kind of give us an overnight feeling of what's happening, what happened in the UK, and then also we have Gregor Horvat, our Elliott Wave analyst. He'll pop in and give his thoughts on the Elliott Wave, kind of setups that he's seeing. And then we have K-Man, who worked on a bank dealing desk for 40 years, and in Japan. He comes in and talks a lot about what's moving the yen, especially. It's been so big, the last month, the big moves.
It's in the spotlight again, right? After a long period of time that nobody paid attention to it.
Right. And then on top of that, we have all, everybody that's, we're just talking during that half an hour, just preparing you for your day. And that community that's even free is, extremely popular. But if you want even more than that, then that's where Forex Analytix comes in, because then you go into this is our chat room. Now, I'm going to tell you, I want to tell you guys how this all came about, just so you have a good understanding of, our community, and you can just keep going back and back and back and seeing all the conversations and the charts.
Blake,
and yes,
sorry to interject, but I don't want to forget it before.
Yeah.
Not only Face Webinar is free for people to register, and they can even find the recording or even watch it. They don't necessarily have to register on Zoom. They can even watch it. That is also streamed live on our YouTube channel, right?
Yeah.
Some people choose to watch it from there. But also I want to stress out that, this event that people are watching at the moment is an event that has specific sponsors, specific strings attached, right? But Face Webinar and registration there, we don't share anybody's information. You're not going to be receiving any spam mail or whatever. So it's literally completely free to register for. I mean, there are no, hidden clauses or whatever. There are no sponsors we're going to be sharing data with or whatever else, right? So there is really no obstacle for somebody to register and see if they like it.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be, I think that everybody has to understand there's a lot of facets to what we do. It really is. There's so much, but I want to, just show you guys a little bit about our community, and, just some of the topics that we talk about, and all the different charts that are posted. And this is where, when I left Ally Financial, okay, and I was with I was the chief strategist at MB Trading. They got eventually taken over by Ally Financial, and we had built this community there that I've had traders that I've been chatting with literally online for like the last 15 years, and plus 15, 16, 17 years, somewhere in that neighborhood, that have been in chat rooms with me, that we established for a long time. And I knew that Ally Financial was going to shut down the FX side of their business. They had made the acquisition of MB Trading, to just basically acquire their book, you know, but they didn't want anything to do with the currency side of the business, which I was, you know, that was my predominant focus at that time. And you know, at that point, the president of MB Trading, him and I knew each other very well. And I told him, I'm like, you know, that my days are going to be numbered here. You know, I'd like to develop something on my own. And, you know, and this is about 7 years ago. And, you know, I want a place for our community that we had already built for the last 10 years, the previous 10 years. I wanted a place for our community to have like a soft landing for them. And he's like, I totally understand. It's not going to be competitive to what we're doing. You know, go ahead and build it. So that's when, you know, I met up with Steve and Stelios, and we started developing, you know, the Forex Analytics system, but more importantly, system's a bad word, the Forex Analytics, you know, product, the forward-facing product, which you can see here, the technology product, but then also building behind the scenes, the chat rooms and the community, which you see right here, you know, and that is what we started building. What, seven years ago, we started really in the development process, and we launched maybe like five and a half years ago. And so now you can see that, you know, throughout the community, whether you're in the macro, we call it Flowonomics chat room, or the macro chat room, the general chat room, there's even a trades room where people just, you know, strictly go in there to say, hey, I got filled on this, I bought this, I sold that, you know, because, you know, this way, you know, we can kind of get a bias on what, you know, people are thinking at that point. And then we have a Spanish chat room. We have a news and research room where people actually upload research that they've seen overnight, or they've gotten in their inbox, because you can upload files and everything like that. But the general chat room is where, you know, you're going to see hundreds of traders just in there talking. And we developed that. Going back to the reason why we developed this is because we wanted a place for the traders that I built this relationship with over the years, of a safe place for everybody to land. We don't talk politics, we don't talk religion, and we don't let people sell any products. So if you go in there with the intent to like, oh, I want to sell, you know, my EA that I built, you know, we'll just, you know, kick you out and delete all your messages, and that's it. We have a lot of moderators that are constantly watching, right? And then, you know, if you talk religion or you talk politics, we, you know, nicely tell you that that's not appropriate here, and then people stop. And now we're just talking really the markets, and when things slow down, we might talk some personal stuff, just kind of, you know, some people talk about the movies they're watching or whatever, but really it's all about the markets and what's moving the market. And that makes it a like-minded community that we've developed over the years. Now, what's even nicer about that, I want to talk a little bit about this, is that our community is just traders that I've actually met so many of them in person. When I was proprietary trading, and I'd have to go back to our office in Greenwich, Connecticut, I'd go to New York City. And when I was in New York, I'd meet up with a bunch of traders. I had just this last week, one of the traders from our community for the last, Matt has been in our community since we really launched about 5.5, 6 years ago. He's been traveling the United States, and him and his niece just stopped at my house this week to have lunch or dinner. Actually, we ate pizza. It was a late afternoon type of thing, because he was swinging out to the airport to pick up his mom. Then they were going to go to the Grand Canyon. And that's just somebody who's in our community that I've actually met in person 3 times in the Northeast. But that's what our community is about, you know, traders that talk, communicate, and a lot of times get to meet each other. I had one of our other traders that his name is Badger in our chat room. You can see him right here. Badger, we were just talking about he was gonna come over. He was out for a bike ride. He was gonna come over the other day because he was at his in-laws home, which is about 2 miles away from where I live. So, you know, that's what the Forex Analytics community is. It is a community, but it is also the product. So Steve, can you tell us about the product itself and the amazing work that you and the development team have really done with Forex Analytics?
Sure, we can talk a little bit about it, but let me go through a couple of questions. We have some people asking about some market stuff, and we will have some time to go through the markets, right? Have a brief outlook in the markets.
Absolutely.
Which is exactly what we do in
while you're answering this question, I'm going to go grab some more coffee because I'm going to be sitting in this chair for many hours. And then I'm going to take you through some analysis. I'm going to take you through our analysis process and how I approach the market every day and how we approach the market as a community.
We have also a viewer, Blake, called Derek, that he says he remembers you from Wise Trade. He was a member when the stock market was crashing in 2008. It's nice to see you.
Yeah,
that's what he's.
and you know, it's great to see you as well. And it, you know, the thing is could you I remember when the markets were crashing, and I remember sitting out I was in Dallas, Texas at the time, and I remember when the S&P was like right around that, you know, it's right around the 700 level, you know, just before we hit the bottom. And I remember coming out of the office, and we were running the Wise Trade at that time as the Wise Trade chat room too. And I'm like, hey guys, I need to take a break. And I remember we're sitting outside and I'm looking out into the, you know, it's like, it was pretty early. It was still like 8 a.m. or whatever. And, you know, there's some cars coming by, and the markets have been literally just dumping for like 2 months straight, or like a month straight, or whatever it was. And I'm like, you know, is this world going to be over at this moment? I just remember just like, this is it. This is it. I'm like, oh my gosh. But yeah, crazy times. Anyway, all right, I'm going to grab some more coffee, but
it's always darkest just before dawn, right?
Exactly. Perfectly said. That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you for your kind comments, Laura, by the way. Now, Stelio, there is a question you are best equipped to answer from Rory. Reviewing your frequently asked questions on trader funding program, I know that there is a maximum leverage of 1 to 10.
Yes.
Explain that, because it's yeah.
The effective leverage is higher. Basically, the way it works is, if you want to take a certain amount of money for an account trade, let's say you want to take 100,000, you pay as an assessment fee 1,000. So this is 1%. So effectively, to gain access to 1,000, you pay 1,000. So that's 100. And then on top of that, for certain instruments that you trade, you can trade 10 to 1 extra leverage for FX, 5 to 1 for equities, and I think 2 to 1 for cryptos. So you might say 10 to 1, but that's already after having accessed 100 times the amount that you've paid for, that the money you've actually paid. So yeah, not to yeah.
Plus, I think it has to do with lots, doesn't it?
Yes, there are rules on how many standard lots you can trade. As a general rule, one standard lot is 100,000. Just go to the site, you'll see exactly the details, but don't get confused by the 10 to 1. It's not that you only get 10 to 1 leverage, simply because, as I said before, to access an account, you pay 1% of the amount. So that's 100 to 1 already. Yeah.
Okay, so
so the platform.
Now, yeah, a very, very brief outlook, and then we will have time to go through the market. So in 5 minutes, we can cover the markets, because then don't forget, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we have the interviews starting, right?
Yeah.
So platform, a very brief takeaway, several tools, which include feeds, news flows, economic calendars, a Twitter feed that, you know, we've selected, market trading hours, risk management calculator, most importantly, 30 different instruments, which we provide 5 different types of analysis for: macro, candlestick, basic technical, harmonics, and Elliott waves, right? All these can be consolidating in a specific view, patterns in play. So our suggested patterns in play, which are based on some technical indications. It's like more indicative of what we think of the markets, right? It's not like take that, you trade it, everybody's responsible for their own account.
Can I stop and talk real quick about this, Steve? The patterns in play, a lot of people ask, hey, do you guys give buy, sell, or hold, recommendations or like, because I want to say a lot of traders, they're always looking for like, just tell me what to buy and sell. And that's not what Forex Analytix is all about. What it's interesting is we have all this backed data that we've been taking, and you can look at every pattern in play that we posted for the last 5 years. We got 65 pages of them. And there's obviously wins and gains, and all the numbers are here. You could actually go back and comb through them all if you want to. It's, we've
6 years of data, Blake.
Is it 6 years of data?
Almost 6 years of data, 1,300 trades in total.
And then what we're compiling is, the statistics on these patterns in play. But what the patterns in play really represent is, as Steve pointed out, it's more of our bias. Like if you see the euro dollar entry area, target and validation areas, why it's being put up, and then you can obviously go to the analysis and read, especially on that day that it was released. Oh, what was the analysis that provoked that, the reason for that confluence of support, and what chart was supporting it at that point in time. And then you go, oh, okay, well, I understand that that's the bias of that particular analyst. Oh, that was Blake. Okay, great. So I know that Blake is really more biased, the euro being bullish. Doesn't make me right. It just, kind of where I stand. And that's where these patterns in play really come into play, because you really understand, like, oh, Andre happens to be bearish the S&P, and he was bearish for a couple of days, and it moved 2.3% lower, and and that was and you're like, okay, I like it when he's short, and he's got this harmonic pattern setting up, because he tends to be pretty good, and so that kind of gives you an understanding of where the market's at, what our analysts are thinking, and then you're in the chat rooms, and then you're obviously communicating with myself, or because I'm in there all day long, and so is our team and other moderators. You can see Stelios right there, and there's Andre and his charts that he posts inside of our chat room. So our community is very, very exclusive in that sense. So sorry, Steve, you can continue on here.
Absolutely. So basically, that sums it up. I mean, it's not that we want to stick on the pitch for Forex Analytix. Those of you that have tried it, you already know the benefits. A lot of people have already testified on that. Blake, what do you say? We have 20 minutes. What do you say we go through the markets a little bit? We've had people asking.
I do want to go through the markets, and I have to reiterate that really what Forex Analytix is all about is the community, but it's also the analysis process that we go through. If you are inside of the platform, you'll notice that we have this Forex Analytix bias chart. Now, for those of you that have been listening to my analysis for about 20 years, which one of the traders, Rick, wherever he's at, he's in here. You'll see him all the time. Actually, his 85-year-old mother, she fell, and she had hurt herself, unfortunately, and he had to step out on Friday. So, and I wasn't laughing. That was like more of a sneeze. Anyway, he recalls, from the early years, right, that I've been doing the bias chart or a variation, if you will, of this bias chart from day one. So if you take my trading career back into the late 90s, I used to sit down every day, and I would draw out what I called a T chart, right? So if it was a T chart, it looked something like this. So every day I would go out and I'd draw. Let me just show you. I would take the market, and I would say, okay, here's a T chart, and this is sell, and this is buy. And then I would go through all the stocks in the market that I wanted to trade. I'd say, oh, here's Applied Materials. I'm going to be, looking at AMAT, as a sell, because I actually think it looks bearish. And then I would go to the buy stocks that I wanted to buy and say, okay, well, if the market rallied, I would go look at Amazon, because Amazon, looked very like it was a bullish setup. And every day I would do this rudimentary type of analysis, in the markets. And I'm talking, this is back in the 90s. And so I would do this on multitude of stocks that I was following, right? So, and fast forward, here we are, 20 some odd years later, that analysis have really, kind of, morphed itself into what we call, a bias chart. And the bias chart is simply just looking at all these major markets and seeing, how I want to approach the market that day and understanding what the biases are. So like if you, I'm going to pull up the bias chart. This is something that myself, Paul Franco, we do it with our traders in the Forex Analytics community on a daily basis. So we go through these specific markets, and we say, okay, well, the euro, because I tend to be more currency focused at this moment. So I'm like, oh, here's the euro. Well, that's Bitcoin, but I'll come back to Bitcoin. But I'll say, oh, here's the euro. So I know that we have, very key support here at the 108 level, because that's a multi-year trend line. Actually, it's since the creation of the euro, I know how important that 108 level is. So I might say, okay, well, support is at 108, and 108. And I put an asterisk by that because I know it's extremely important. And our traders know that when you're near 108 or you're near that level, it's important support that cues me in, and hopefully yourself as well, that you don't want to be aggressively short as you're nearing that support, because that it's held up for years at a time. And then I also know on an intraday basis, if we can get above this resistance or this channel, you can see this channel. Whoops. I don't know why that's on right now. Okay. So you can see this. Right there, analysis, or this previous support, that's current resistance. I know that if it breaks above this level, that would be intraday, that would be bullish, because then we'd be coming out of a channel, and it would be coming, through that previous support, turn resistance. We know that we're pivoting off of a big, major multi-year support. So I know that if we get above 109.50, that would be bullish. So I might go to this resistance and say 109.50, and I'll put another asterisk there, and maybe even two, because I know that it's so important that if we break above that, then my bias is going to flip from range to bullish, right? So now I can sit back and say, okay, I know we're in a bit of a range, between the 108 and 109, especially 109.50, but really 109. And I know if we get above that level, it's going to turn very bullish at that point. So we do this like top-down analysis with all of these instruments every day. Now, you might look at those instruments and go, well, are there other instruments? Yeah, I'll actually flip. Like recently, I've been flipping out silver for crude oil, because crude has been, so aggressively moving as of late. So now I want to have more of a, understanding what crude's going to do, because crude, not only does it influence, what I might be doing in the currency market, like let's say dealing with the Norwegian crown or the Canadian dollar, but also it really affects risk appetite and risk aversion in the equity markets. And I know if that turns sour, or if it picks up, it's going to influence from an intermarket relationship all the different instruments that I'm trading. So I go through this very, very, like I said, top-down analysis with all these products, and then we post it back up here for inside the community for everybody to view. Because yes, there's a lot of really cool features buried inside of the Forex Analytics product, like knowing where all the options are expiring, at the London fix, throughout the course of the day, having live squawk, news feed, woven into the Forex Analytics platform, and then all of this via a mobile app that sends you alerts when these support or resistance levels have been breached, when new analysis has been released, when new analysis comes out, all of that's being uploaded and shot out directly to your mobile phone app, or whether you use an iOS or an Android application. So it's a like I said, it's a really, really intricate product and a very big community that we deal with. Now, Stelios, Steve, what would you like to add at this point regarding the Forex Analytics community and your analysis process that we go through? Because Steve, I want to let you take over the charts for a little bit, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Because you like to go into, after I'm done going through the bias chart and developing this, you spend a good 45 minutes, you and Stelios, talking about, answering their questions, going into, different markets yourself. And so tell everybody your guys' approach to the market.
First of all, Stelios and I consider ourselves more of, economists than traders. I mean, if we had to prioritize how we view ourselves, right, we first look at the big picture and then at the shorter term charts. Although this is how we always trade, right? Because I'm a very big supporter of knowing your fundamentals, but fundamentals never give you triggers, never give you entry levels, never give you profit targets, never give you invalidation areas, right? All these are things that you can only properly do using technical analysis. So what we usually do after the bias chart is over is that we discuss a little bit developments that have happened since the previous afternoon, right? So Stelios is going to go through any announcements that we had, any statements from central bank officials, for example, or governments that might, of course, affect other than political developments, might affect economies and or financial markets, right? And then I'm going to also comment on them and see how these might influence the markets we cover. And of course, afterwards we take questions, and we've never had an issue even going through markets that we don't regularly cover, right? So that's what we do.
That's one of the benefits of going through markets that I typically don't cover. Like somebody might say, "Hey Blake, how do you feel about Apple?" And I can pull up Apple, the stock, and say, well, and more of an unbiased look, especially when I'm looking at charts all day long, and I've been looking at charts for 25 years and analyzing them. I can clearly look at that and say, well, we are making higher or lower highs, and not come at it with a very biased opinion, but I can also say, oh, we got a possible bull flag developing despite having lower highs here. And that's a risk if you're on the short side. And if you're bullish, we're still we still have a decent setup that if we break this 88% retracement, that should kickstart really a whole new trend higher in Apple. But having the flexibility of asking myself or Steve or Stelios or Ryan or K-Man or any one of our other group, our team members. By the way, if you don't know our entire team, you can always go here and you can read about our entire team at Forex Analytix and who we all are. And
Forex Analytix is not a one-man show as many companies, right? We have a big team of people with diverse backgrounds and knowledge, so we supplement each other.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really, really imperative, in my opinion, to have, and that's where you look at the analysis process of Forex Analytics. It's actually looking at multiple analysis types. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Stelios has been bullish precious metals, and I'm like, sell that crap, man, sell it. But But it's a, you know, it's a difference of opinion, and it's not, you know, one of the things that we've always told our team members, it's like, look, I have an opinion of the market. That doesn't mean my opinion should weigh on your, you know, how you are looking at the market. And that's what makes Forex Analytix, in my opinion, extremely powerful, because people then look for, you know, opinions when they start to line up, and that's when you start looking at, you know, the analysis process, and you go, okay, well, the dollar yen, every style of analysis aside from the macro analysis is showing it's a bullish setup, or it's bullish in nature. That means probably it's a good idea. And it's been, by the way, the dollar yen's been like that literally for the last few weeks, when it was trading, you know, 117, you know, 6 big figures lower. The fact of the matter is, when you have analysis that all lines up, it does, you know, it kind of tilts the favors towards you, right?
Absolutely.
So you know, Steve, continuing on with the difference of analysis. Actually, let's talk about Stelios really quick. Let's bring you into the conversation, Stel. You know, you are more of a macro-driven, longer-term trader. How would you explain to the folks listening in at home how you really approach the market? And
yeah,
why?
well, it's interesting, because I used to be a market maker for about 10 years in the city of London, and I was trading in exactly the opposite way as I'm trading now. So I was doing 10, 20, 50, 100 trades a day, and they were big size. Now I am more of a macro trader. So I tend to take a step back and look at the big picture. I decide on my bias on something, and then I try to look at technicals. I try to look at good entry levels and exit levels. I tend to be early sometimes, but you know, that's the way I trade. And I trade more in terms of themes, and you know, I guess it depends on leverage and time horizon, right? For every trade, you can be long metals, like you said before, or short metals, and be right on both counts, because one has a 1 day horizon, and you know you're leveraged 100 times. The other one has a 6 months horizon. The way I look at things is I like to look at the big picture, as I said before, and I take all the things into consideration. I come up with a bias, and then the difficult part for me is to find the right technical levels. And that's why I like my colleagues like yourself and Steve and the other people in the chat room, because you know, we discuss about these things, and the things that I'm not particularly strong at, I can get help. So that's the way I operate.
And that's, you know, I'm so glad you point that out. I and it's because everybody needs my help, Stelios, you included. You know, let's just admit that. No, I'm just joking, obviously. But you know, that's like when Gregor Horvat, he jumped in into our analysis, you know, into our Morning Edge webinar that we do specifically for you know, the Forex Analytics community, after our face public webinar, you know, the one where everybody can listen to, anybody and everybody. You can watch it on YouTube, yada, yada, yada. After that, shortly after that, about 15 minutes after that is over, we go into the Forex Analytics members only, the Morning Edge. And that's when we build out the bias chart that you see here. You know, this bias chart is developed at that point. And we had Gregor Horvat came in, and he started talking about, you know, he came in, you know, give his Elliott wave views of what he was looking at. And for me, I find that extremely valuable, because Elliott wave doesn't jive with my, I don't know, it's like if it's my brain or what. It's like, you know, my dad's very good at rebuilding cars, and it just doesn't register in my mind. Same thing with Elliott waves. And I have to rely on my colleagues and knowing their expertise and trusting their expertise to really, you know, take that into account. And it helps me quite a bit. So I'm glad.
I love Gregor, and I love Elliott waves as well, because Elliott waves in essence is methodology that has been built to identify trends and help you distinguish the difference between a move in the direction of the trend and a counter trend move, which is extremely important, and goes deep into the basis of how I like to approach trading as well. Meaning, as Stelios said before, I like to have a strong bias having to do with fundamentals. What that helps me do, because fundamentals don't help you open a trade or close a trade, but what that helps me do is A, feel much more comfortable when I know I'm trading in the direction of the trend. B, have a different approach to the markets, depends on the foreseeable future and time frame. And C, very frequently, for example, people that watch our webinars know that I don't short metals, right? Even though there are periods that I give advice that short term this looks bearish and I think it's going to go lower, I still don't short them. Why? Because fundamentally I'm super bullish. And why would I want to trade something super I'm super bullish at in the opposite direction, right? Because because it doesn't make me feel comfortable. It doesn't let me sleep at night, right? So although I know that, for example, the path of least resistance might be lower in the short term, why would I want to trade completely against my bias, right?
But being able to explain that and so people understand, like, and that's, but let's stop for a moment, Steve. And I understand what you're saying, but let's go back to like the bias chart. This is like something that's really important, and I think everybody should understand this. When we find a bias in the market, like if I go, hey, the dollar yen is very bullish, and it is, we have it marked up here, and if you look at, whoops, didn't mean to do that. If you look at the dollar yen as a move, I mean, this is a massive, for a currency market, for a currency move, massive move this last month. It was epic, and I traded on the long side, but also I traded it on the short side. Now, a lot of people say, well, gosh, you were shorting it. Well, I knew it was coming in. We all did. We talked about it was coming in a 20-year resistance. We knew that, the Bank of Japan, Ministry of Finance, they would start their, rhetoric, trying to talk it, talk it up a little bit, because it's getting, absolutely destroyed. And, if you're Japan and you got to import all of your commodities, and commodities are ripping and your currency is going lower, it's going to really, hurt your economy and your, citizens, if you will. So, they started to kind of jawbone their currency a little bit. We knew that was going to happen. So now you get into a two-way market, but even though it may be, the pair may be bullish, if you start fading that move, at least, you can understand, okay, I am shorting a very strong move that is very bullish. Therefore, if I'm going to trade opposite in the direction of the bias or the trend, I have to be actively trading smaller positions. And that's where the rubber meets the road, because I think a lot of traders, they're just like, oh, it's, the bias is bullish, or, oh, it's going up. That's the only way I should be trading it. No, we're traders. We are opportunistic. I'd rather be buying on dips. And look, if we get a dip towards some sort of support, that's when I kind of take bigger positions going back in the direction of the trend. So, there are multiple ways to skin a cat in the markets.
That is very true.
Yeah. I know, Steve, you're a cat person, so I didn't mean that literally. Yeah. Yeah. Now, if I would have said that about dogs, that'd have been a problem, because my dogs. Anyway, I'm just saying that really that's the that's trading with biases and understanding biases in the market are really so vitally important. Really quick, there was a question that came in, and these continue to come in, so I just want to make sure that everybody understands. We have the recordings will be on YouTube for all the sessions that we're doing within a few, or not on YouTube. I'm sorry, I was looking at the question, not addressing the question. Will be sent to you probably by Tuesday or Wednesday. Remember, these are going to be for you. At some point in the future, we will put them out on YouTube, but we want you guys,
but for a period of time,
recordings first.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to receive an email from Trader Summit telling you the videos are up and giving you a link, and that's where you can access them and watch them. as much as you want. And as Blake said, there's going to be a period of time that will pass before they also get published on YouTube, right?
Yeah, now I'm looking for Gareth Soloway should be popping in here any moment, but I want to say, hey, guys, at the end of Traders Summit, you guys will have a special offer for Forex Analytix that you'll be able to take advantage of, because we want to give you an opportunity to jump in our community. Our community is going to be, it's like we've been talking about, it is the most powerful part of Forex Analytix. It is really behind, you look at the technology and you're like, oh, look, I get an app and I get analysis on my phone. How great is that? And I get alerts when, things go up or down, and, I get notified right on my phone for that. But it's way more than that. It's the community that's behind, Forex Analytix, and, everybody that's talking and chatting 24 hours a day inside of, well, not through the weekend. Most people take the weekend off, but you can just see, like, this is Friday when it was like the slowest it could possibly be. And you can just see, we have hundreds of people that are in there. It's probably one of the most active communities. Again, nothing's being sold. Anything gets sold, you get kicked out, and we block you and you're gone, done forever. You try to sell your EA or whatever it is. Nope, you're out. We don't talk politics. We don't talk religion, and we just talk markets. And sometimes, some goofy stuff when the market's really not doing anything. But then you got your trades room, you got your macro chat room, news and research, Spanish chat room. So lots of just a big community of traders, like-minded people. So jump in the Forex Analytics community. There's several ways to do it. One of them being part of the trader funding program. If you're involved in the trader funding program, you will get complimentary the Forex Analytics community for a period of time, because we can't just give it to you forever. It's just, but you can get it for a period of time, and because we want you to succeed, we want you to be in a community where ideas are being fostered, and you're not just out there alone going, oh God, what do I do now? It's like having a community, knowing, hey, this is what these guys are trading. They're looking at the S&P looks a little toppy here, and crude looks like it might bounce and rally. You have ideas of things that you can trade and take advantage of. So anyway, that's about Forex Analytics. Let me